Once, in 2012, there was a player who surpassed many limits at the time, though these days no one remembers. This player had faded into obscurity over many years, with close to no trace left behind of his existence. This player was named Wacei, and this is the Legend of Wacei. If you weren't there at the time, you've probably never even heard of Wacei, and I don't blame you. He's a pretty unknown player, with most people who were there at the time choosing not to talk about him these days. He held skills which close to no players had held before, let alone seen. In the time he played, he achieved many unique scores, surpassing even the top players at the time. But before that, let's start at the beginning. The hype for PPV1 had just calmed down, and a Chinese player signed up. He went by the username Wacei. For the first few months, nothing was special about Wacei. He improved at a usual speed, consistently setting a few thousand plays a month. In September 2012, Wacei picked up double time and started playing way more. This led to improvement fast even by today's standards. The main difference from other players of the time is that they usually went for full combo scores and leaderboard spots, while Wacei was going for passes, which meant that it was basically impossible for him to get a sizable amount of PP or score, unless he got very lucky. For those who don't know, the PP system at the time favored high leaderboard spots on popular maps, and Wacei did the exact opposite. This is what led to him not being noticed for quite a long time. For the time, his passes were already leagues above the top players, but he still didn't even have a half of the amount of their PP. This is a replay from around February 2013, saved by a player back then who we contacted for information. It's of the map Ryugen no Mai with double time. It's only beaten by a couple of players in 8 years, and it just shows how much ahead of competition he was, though silently. He continued his improvement streak without showing any signs of stopping, or maybe just without showing any signs in general. He never posted anything on forums, even though they were much more popular than they are now. For the second play that we were able to get our hands on, we have Okaryu Run with double time from July 2013. This map is very similar to the previous one, similar style, also by a Chinese mapper, but requires more speed and less aim. Wacei is able to hit most of the triples and finish the map with combo being unbeaten to this day, though accuracy only being third best. Remember that these plays were done on an old client, where you could fail without combo breaks, weren't able to dim the background before clearing the map at least once, with excessive effects and mandatory slider ends. His playstyle helped him acquire the speed on a level which was unthinkable and even unreasonable to think about at the time, due to how underrated speed was. Despite being so good at the game, he still shared the same page of leaderboards as beginners who had only played the game for a couple of months. Oftentimes, he even managed to decay despite actively playing. That was until PPV2 got introduced in February 2014. PPV2's main difference from an older system was that it was based solely on skill. So all the unpopular maps Wacei played were now buffed significantly. In the old system, if you didn't get in top 500 of the map's leaderboard, the PP wouldn't even be given at all. Now, since most of Wacei's plays were like that, he jumped from being practically nowhere to being a 3 digit. This obviously deserved buff was what caused the downfall of Wacei, since he had at least some eyes on him now. Even all of the replays we have are from his rebalanced top plays back then. People started asking questions about Wacei, such as how he climbed the leaderboard so quickly. Soon enough, people started picking up the knowledge, of course misknowledge, that he was hacking. Some people continued to not believe this, but most did. People couldn't believe that someone as unknown as Wacei could be able to beat almost every top player. Weirdly enough, Wacei didn't acknowledge any of the accusations and didn't even participate in the community, making some believe even stronger in the accusations. A few people reported him on the forums, including 1 or 2 people which many of us know today. Wacei went on as normal until one day when it all ended. 4th of April 2014. Wacei decided it'd be a good day to play. He logged onto Osu just to receive a message. It read, "Your account is in restricted mode." Wacei had been restricted. Now, this was happening in 2014, when people were unfamiliar with a lot of cheats and players were mostly banned for autoplay or just being too good. Nowadays, some people would like to defend the players in a case like this, like we saw happening with Azerite or Whitecat. This didn't happen to Wacei, not only because it happened in 2014, but also because no responses were ever received from him. He was quickly forgotten afterwards, and practically nothing was popping up about him. People just assumed he was a blatant cheater and moved on. Near the end of October 2014, a Chinese player discovered a video on Bilibili Douga titled "Wo Chan Chang Osu". Translated, it means "I'm good at Osu". The username of the poster was Wacei. It was a live play of the top difficulty on the map Sick by Eagle using double time. A live play not only including gameplay, but also his hand. Not one, but 2 hands, and of course, a keyboard and a tablet as well. This player spread the video around on a Chinese forum post on the Osu forums, though later reposted by someone else as an English post. This repost featured a translation of the title and the username, which translated to the sentence "dig money", though weirdly enough, when read as the original Chinese characters, spelled out Wacei. For a while, no one really cared, though soon people began to remember of his previous existence, and began to wonder if he really was a hacker. Though many believed this accusation was true, many were battling against it, and to get him unbanned. Not a month later, in November of 2014, the Osu staff caved in, and decided that this video was enough to give Wacei a second chance. He was once again free. Supposedly, whilst he was banned, he spent most of the free time he had practicing offline. Though that's just a theory, because of course we have no contact with Wacei. His account stayed untouched for a while, and nothing seemed to happen, until the beginning of 2015, when the account disappeared without any notice. It's likely he did the same thing as Adam QS in 2019, but we can't know for sure. No trace of him was kept on forums either. Osu staff likely cleared it all themselves. The only info of Wacei was kept on other websites, which was even at the time close to none, and in people's memories. And that's where our story ends. Thanks to Mulraf for sharing most of the information with us. Without him, we wouldn't even know this player had ever existed. I'm Rounded, and that was The Legend of Wacei. Thanks for watching. Hey, PogChamp.